You look like a skeleton with muscle. You look really unhealthy. You are clearly not a role model. These are some of the comments I've been getting. The comments I've been getting on the channel that I set up to help all of you guys. And if I truly were struggling with my eating disorder, if these comments were actually right, how would the comments actually be helpful? If the people who commented these things actually did think that I was relapsing, how and why would they say the harsh, rude words that they say? I read these comments in the aftermath of a particularly bad day, and it wasn't pretty. Generally, I think I'm quite an optimistic person. I tend to think quite brightly of my life, but on this particular day, I didn't, and it does happen, and it's really important to put things into perspective on those days. So, I decided to journal, and to share the journal entry with all of you guys. I'll be sharing the ramblings, I'll be sharing some of my resolutions, I'll be sharing a few photos, I will have a trigger warning before them, and some of my meals. Not every single meal in a day or a week, but just some of my meals. A bit of inspiration without the chance to necessarily compare yourself. So yeah, the recovery community can be a horrible place sometimes. Thankfully, I have left behind the eating disorder, now 6 years ago, and I haven't looked back. I never will look back. But even without the eating disorder in my life, I am human. Why are comments like this a thing in the eating disorder community? A community which I always thought was there to build people up, to celebrate recovery, rather than to put people down and push them back into maladaptive coping mechanisms. Maybe I was wrong. Because my recovery is not what some may accept to be the norm, as I've recovered into a slim body, I know. Why can't my recovery be celebrated like everyone else's? Why must it be debated? Why must I be shamed for it? Shamed for my genetics? I no longer have an eating disorder. As I said, I left this behind 6 years ago, and I haven't looked back. But I do still struggle. Body dysmorphia, seasonal depression, perfectionism, stress, anxiety. Would you tell someone who's ashamed of their overweight that they are fat and ugly? No? So why is it okay on the other end of the spectrum? Words like that are still harmful. They don't benefit the person you're commenting on, nor do they benefit you. So, my weight is questioned. It is hated upon. So for over a year now, I've been trying to put on weight, being discouraged every time, and then hating myself for that because, as I've been told, I clearly am still skeletal and ugly. But whenever I try, my heart isn't really in it. So I'm left wondering, is this really my goal? Or other people's goals that I am trying to pursue? And if it was genuinely my goal, why haven't I achieved it? Surely if it had been my goal and mine truly, would have been there already. So, if it isn't really my goal, why am I pursuing it? Why am I disappointed when I don't reach it? I think it all boils down to the power of words. Words do hurt me. Like me, My twin sister used to give it her everything to try and gain weight. Like me, she pushed herself past even the point of discomfort. Why should society's ideals be so all-important as to make us both want to continually change our beautiful, wonderful selves? Why does everyone always want to change themselves? And why is everyone so judgmental towards others too? Whether for weight gain or weight loss or anything else really. In the end, what matters is that we are healthy and happy. And the latter only comes from accepting where we're at, no matter where that is. On my negative body image days, there's a few things that I know I need to put into practice as well. One of the things that particularly helped me during my time in hospital when my body was changing rapidly was to look at my body in a different way, a more subjective way. I knew that viewing myself in a mirror, well, didn't particularly help me, and we had to do this every few days as an exercise, and it just made me really down. So what I did instead was take photos of myself during this exercise, because I knew that somehow looking at those photos did allow me to see my body more subjectively, to see it as it really was, and to start appreciate it, and then just start focusing on what it does for me rather than just how it looks. This is some advice I recently gave out during a coaching session as well, and the girl who's been doing it has said that it's been incredible for her too, so it might be something to try out. I'll share a few of the photos that I took in hospital here, so if you find stuff like that triggering, please skip ahead a few seconds and continue from there. Anyway, taking these photos allowed me to not just hone in on one particular part of my body, but to see the whole picture, which for me was crucial. It really helped me a lot in my recovery, the mental aspects of recovery, and accepting my changing, my new, my incredible body. I was just wondering if any of you have tried this, or if you have any other tips and what your experiences are. Definitely share this, because as I said, this community can be incredibly uplifting, motivating, and it doesn't just need to be a community where we compare ourselves and where we bring each other down. I have been told that some of the meals I eat are odd, or not the norm, or too healthy or too unhealthy, or whatever it is, and I'm left confused because this is what all of my family eats. This is what I've eaten for years. This is what I enjoy eating. And I don't see a problem in pursuing the things I enjoy. I have been told my meals are too healthy, that my choices are eating disorder driven, so then I go through periods of eating junk food, of pouring sugar down my throat, just to prove that genuinely I am okay. Only to find that proving my point makes me feel no better. So I then return to the meals I have grown up eating and the meals that I enjoy. Because when I was eating that junk, I was told it was too unhealthy. When I was eating the things I enjoyed, I was told it's too healthy. And it's just a silly battle that you can never really win. So I decide to go for what actually works for me. What I've also been told is that I eat too much, too varied, or too restricted. I have been told I exercise too little, too much, or too intensely. But what if I told you that everyone has different needs, different preferences, different customs? Yes, some people may act because the eating disorder is telling them to act, but as I said, I've left eating disorder behind so many years ago. And if I do something, it's because I genuinely want to do that thing. And no one day is the same. I embrace exercise because I enjoy it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Many people abuse exercise, but many people just like it and do it because they like it. What makes me any different? I embrace veganism because I stand by it. I believe in its principles. And while some people do abuse this, there's nothing wrong with it. And in fact, Tom's entire family is vegetarian-vegan. And I don't see reason to be rude to them because they are living by their values either. I embrace porridge bowls for breakfast because I genuinely find that they're abso-freaking-delicious. Not to mention cheap and convenient. Again, nothing wrong with it. Name me one student who hasn't tried porridge. So why would their intentions be right, but mine not? Just because historically I struggle with an eating disorder. Also, why would it be wrong for me to have a banana for a snack? Because it is too healthy. If you, for example, surely also have some fruit and veg in your day. When does it become okay or switch over to not okay anymore? Too healthy? What is too healthy? I think something like that is very, very subjective. Anyway, during my recovery, I definitely did go through a phase of eating, well, very differently from what I eat now. And I preach by this. I had to in hospital, but I think it really did help me. Facing all my fears again and again, and allowing myself to eat what I deemed unhealthy foods that I didn't even enjoy a lot of the time. Not only challenging the fear of those bad foods, but also challenging the thought that I wasn't really allowed to eat anything I didn't like. Just to prove to myself at that point that I could eat all of these things and it was fine. However, once they were no longer a challenge, I no longer had to challenge them all the time because there wasn't really a point. I wasn't growing by doing it. And now I can eat all of these foods if and when I want to, but I don't need to force them down my gullet just for the sake of it. I've been there, done that. I needed it then, but I no longer need it now. I've been through that journey and can allow myself the freedom to listen to my preferences and to go where the mood takes me. It strikes me as incredibly odd to hate on that. I'll eat the cake when I want to, guilt-free. But guess what? I'm not much of a sweet tooth actually, so more often than not, I'd prefer the peanut butter toast or dinner leftovers instead. And some will classify this as purposely healthy or odd, whereas other people will find it perfectly normal or consider it an unhealthy choice. I don't know, but I don't see anything strange or disordered about this. It's listening to my intuition, which I consider to be at the exact opposite end of the scale from anything disordered. I can have junk food one day without then needing to have it again the next day and the day after and the day after, because that's not what I crave and I don't need to prove myself anymore. At home, I'm used to eating fairly healthy home-cooked meals. Home cooked. I'm used to that and I enjoy that, so that's what I do. But everyone's different. As for exercise, I recently took a break. Why? Because I was told it was too much in the comment section. But guess what? The break was fine. But what I was doing before was fine too. I never pushed myself when I needed the rest. I never exercised too intensely for my body, for my lifestyle. I was just going with the flow and doing what I enjoyed. Anyway, as I said, the break itself was fine too. But did it solve any or all of my problems? No. It was just a break and exercise. Nothing else about my life changed. So, yeah, I'm ready to go back to exercising, moving, eating, being, living like myself again, regardless of what other people tell me. So, as for my New Year's resolutions, I plan to look at the bright side a little bit more. I plan to focus on my journey. As such, I want to do some more gratefulness journaling, something I've slightly fallen out of the habit of. Daily, things that I'm happy about, things that I'm proud of, things that I want to and need to remind myself of. I also want to open up about these things a bit more. I want to meditate. I want to spend more time outside, even when we're locked in, or especially when we're locked in because of COVID. And I want to experiment in the kitchen, do more things, get out of my comfort zone. Anyway, these are just some of my resolutions, some of my ramblings, some of my thoughts as we go into the new year. What are yours? If you haven't subscribed yet, do so now, and more content to come this new year.